or just even these little phrases where it says, I hear you and I can appreciate what you're going through. Now let's solve it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Quality Coffee Break. This week we are going to talk about leading with empathy from the quality perspective. So I'm really excited about our conversation today. Amy, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Susie. I think leading with empathy is a really important topic, especially coming from a quality environment. I think in our first episode, we spoke a little bit about how quality can be seen as maybe the police force sometimes. So what we're hoping is that with this episode, listeners can really find out why it's important that you lead with empathy, and perhaps going the police force route is actually going to do a little bit more harm than good. So yeah, looking forward to the
Definitely.
conversation.
So I would say, why don't we start with like training? I think training is a good example of where you can really display some empathy. And one of the first things that I think about and how I've learned about training through the course of my career is making sure that you're communicating to your audience in multiple different methodologies, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody is a visual learner and not everybody is an auditory learner. So making sure as much as you can to cater to different ways that people learn, I think really is an easy way, frankly, to demonstrate some empathy in that process, in the process of training.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, as you say, everybody does learn and take in information differently. For me, I'm very much a hands-on kind of person. So I'm a learn by like a doing things, and I think a lot of people can sympathize with that. But yes, see one, do one, teach one is a really good way of training users, because it covers all of the bases really. But having that good conversation with your trainee before you get going, just to see how they absorb information. Do they like to read and spend a bit of time really absorbing that information, or walking through the process? So yeah, have a chat with them. That's a really good way that you can lead with empathy, as a quality professional. Definitely. Also, what I think is very important, and it is leading with empathy in a quality professional, but I think just generally as well. I think, or I know, when you have new starters, they're very anxious to demonstrate to you, aren't they, that they know what they're doing, and they're on the job, and let's go, let's go, let's go. But sometimes, often, users or trainees are so anxious to say that they understand something that they just say yes, 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 no, I get it, I get it, I get it. But maybe they don't.
Right.
Right.
I think it's really important to acknowledge sort of like the histories that people have and whether they're coming from a different role within the organization or even outside the organization. Like just being able to understand that you're not going to be good at everything you do when you like right out the gate. You're going to have to learn the way that this organization does things as well as the ins and outs of the procedure, but just because they don't have that experience yet, or just because they're not excellent at it right off the mark, doesn't make them a bad employee. It doesn't make them a bad hire. It doesn't make them like incompetent or unfit for the position. So recognizing that and acknowledging that to their face, be like, hey, I can understand that this is a little bit complex. I know when I started and I was first trained on this process, I had a hard time making this connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I've definitely been there. But having somebody there to, exactly as you said, I've struggled with this too. It's fine if you don't get it. Just tell me. But you might have to have a little bit of a to and fro with your trainee, because as you've correctly said, past experiences, they do stay with you. So it's important to have a open and honest and safe conversation with trainees, with your direct reports, to make sure that they know that you're a safe person, and if they don't understand something, that they can come to you and they can ask questions. In addition, obviously, just to link this back to 13405, because this is what this podcast is all about, we've got verification of effectiveness, haven't we? So within ISO 13485, verification of the effectiveness of training is obviously really important. So it is for this reason that leading with empathy can help you sort of demonstrate that you have verified your training is effective. Because if you talk to your trainee, whoever that may be, make sure that they've understood it. You know, they go off and they then perform the activities that they've been trained on. It comes back all fine. You know, that's because you've led with empathy and that they've understood the process. So yeah, very, very important. Excellent example, Suzy.
Yeah, I think training is a good example. And also, like, as it comes to just the building relationships part, I'm going to bring this back to where we started in our very first episode as well, and how we build relationships and how that's a really important part of being a quality professional in an organization, any kind of organization. You're building trust with people, and empathy is a great way to build that trust. And one of the ways, as you mentioned a little bit, you know, sometimes we've had experience with quality organizations that are a bit more of a police state, or, you know, a little bit too excited about catching people in their errors.
Yes.
Like that's not what we want to embody, right? We want to acknowledge like that people might make mistakes because they're human. They might make mistakes because the process isn't great. They might make mistakes because the environment isn't conducive to the activity. All of those kinds of things. So as you go into your deviation process or your CAPA process, bringing that empathy with you as you perform those investigations and you talk to people, I think is going to pay dividends as well.
Also, we spoke about it again in our first episode. I think it was very good episode. So if you haven't listened to it, like, do check it out. Maybe a little hint to the first episode there. Not linking your deviations to your performance. Oh my God! Do not do that, because you know, if people feel that they're being attacked because you know they've had all these deviations, you know quotation marks raised against them. Because the process, let's face it, if we've got all of these deviations popping up, something's not right with your process. You need to have a look at it and you need to investigate why it's not working for that user, you know, whoever is using the process. And those are the things that you want to find. Those are the things that you want to find out. You know, effectiveness of your QMS. It's in the standard. Read it, section 8 somewhere. So you need to demonstrate that you've got the effective QMS. So if you're continually getting deviations in a certain area, it's not always human error. Look at your processes and get the users as well involved into that. I mean, this is linking back to our investigations podcast episode. So yeah, check that one out as well.
It does all link together, but I think empathy is a through line through all of it. And as a successful quality professional, as a successful quality group, this is how you build the relationships and how you achieve successful quality management systems, and the maintenance and development of them is founded on like those relationships, right? And empathy and being an empathetic listener also makes you a safe place for people to bring their mistakes to, right? So it's not even just in that investigation portion where you have to be, it helps to be empathetic about the user's experience while they're actually performing the task, but you also want to continue to, you know, be a good person and build those relationships with empathy so that you are a safe place where people can go and say, hey, I noticed something and it doesn't feel quite right, but I'm not sure why. Or help me figure out if what we're doing is the right thing, or if it can be improved, or what have you. Like, I think empathy is the through line, and that's why maybe we keep relating back to some of these other episodes that we've done and other conversations we've had, because I think we've talked about it a lot, even without naming it.
Yeah, it is all the way through this podcast. If you are a safe person, if you are empathetic to the people that you work with, and you don't use quality as your stick to whip people with, or poke with, or whatever, then you are going to get to know all the potential problems within your quality management system a lot easier than waiting for your internal audit process to click around and you get to audit that part of the process. Because if everybody feels empowered because they know that their quality team listens to them, they know that their quality team respects their opinions and offers guidance, because that's, for me, that's just so core to what my role is. It is all about guidance when I really truly think about it, and that's why I love it so much, because I get to interact with all the departments. It's fantastic. So when you have that, everybody then becomes a little bit of quality throughout your organisation or your business. They see it as something that's very, very empowering, and yeah, you get to know the potential issues of your quality management system a lot quicker. Effectiveness of the QMS, back down to Section 8. We're back there. Get everybody on the ground, everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. I think again, I think it maybe comes natural to us because I think we're both pretty empathetic people, sort of naturally. It's not something that we have to work at. But I do need to remind myself sometimes that I need to display or verbalize the empathy that I feel a bit more. And it was feedback that I received from a previous supervisor that was difficult feedback for me to receive, if I'm being honest about it, because what I heard was that I wasn't being empathetic enough, even though what I felt was that, no, I absolutely am seeing things from both sides or all sides, or trying to explore it. But what I realized was that I wasn't always verbalizing that. And so it's been helpful. It was helpful for me to receive that feedback. And one of the ways that I have taken action in response to that is just to pause before I go right into problem solving mode and just say, oh, I understand. That makes a lot of sense. Or just even these little phrases where it says, I hear you and I can appreciate what you're going through. Now let's solve it.
Yes, I hear you. That is such a key phrase. I think I know I use that. I usually kind of put my hand to my chest as well. I don't know. I'm I like to speak with my hands, so it's kind of oh yeah, I hear you. I hear what problems you're having. I think verbalizing. I agree. I mean, because you're both getting on the same page, and if you're coming to somebody, which you often do as a quality professional, and you're coming to them with you need to change this. Everybody hates that, right? Everybody doesn't like that. But if you go into it and say, I can see that you've done that and that's excellent. However, have you considered what do you think about? Are also phrases which I use as well, because importantly, you're encouraging them to think about it, so because it becomes their idea, right?
Yeah. Another one that I like to use a lot is tell me more. Say more about this. Tell me more. Because I also am guilty of jumping to a conclusion based on whatever the first half of the phrase that somebody has said. And I'm I absolutely already know everything you're going to tell me, which is not true. And so...
we are not mind readers.
We are not mind readers. And so to help prevent me from going down a path that isn't the right path, sometimes it's just about asking for more information. And I also find that in most organizations, people start to speak with a bit of a shorthand, where it comes to processes or activities or things that have happened. And so you might not be using the same shorthand. So it's okay, tell me more. Or can you start at the beginning, or can you back up a bit? Just getting more information to understand what the concern is, what a potential problem might be, that goes a long way as well. And really, I mean, it does both make a person feel like you're interested in hearing what they have to say, and it also actually helps you understand what's happening.
Yeah. Tell me the story. That's what you're asking, right? It's like, tell me the
Right.
story. Which I also think is quite a cue when you're teaching people how to write documentation. Orientate the reader, tell me the story is usually the two things that I say to people, you know, if they're this is their first time sort of writing documentation. That we can speak about that at potentially another time. But I mean, sometimes you know we are inevitably quite busy, you know, working with lots of different departments. You may not always have the time to be there for someone, you know, straight away. So what are the tools that you use to sort of handle that situation?
That's good because, as I just mentioned, I sometimes jump to conclusions and, or have been known to in the past. I want to say that I'm better about that now, but there
We're all
was
a
a
work in
time.
progress.
Yeah, we never stop growing.
We never stop growing.
But I think there was a time when I would probably skip ahead too far. And so what I'll do now is, I'll say, okay, I think I understand. I want to read the procedures that relate to this. Can we meet, in an hour? Can I get back to you by the end of the day? Can we talk tomorrow about this? I want to have a chance to make sure that I understand the procedures that we're talking about, the underlying regulations that apply, as well as it's always great to go back to basics and to go back to the source. And so I will sort of request a little bit of time to do that so that when we meet back up again, it's not like in the middle of a fire, right? It's not just like, oh my God, this has just happened and everything's crazy. It's like, okay, let me look at this. Can you research this part of it? Let's meet back in an hour.
Mm, really good points. I think these are really good things to hold on to because I mean you need time, you know, for yourself to actually get your head around what's happening. You said about you know, following up for more information. I also say things like, "Can I just clarify this if I haven't, you know, understood?" Just to make sure that I've got the full picture before, you know, issuing a response. I also kind of think it's really important just to block out some time, like in a diary. I mean, you know, once a month, every quarter, something like that, where you can have that time, and people know that it's a time that people can come to you with anything. Quality clinic, call it whatever you like. Just to get people sort of more involved in quality and making sure that, you know, if they do have any questions, that they can come to this safe space. It's all about building this really nice, safe and cozy place that that people can come to with any questions or queries. I think that's also a really good thing to do.
Yeah, that's a great example. I haven't done that specifically without like an agenda, but I have done something similar as what we would call like QA office hours or something like
Ah,
that.
yeah,
If we're
yeah,
talking about, oh, do you have
yeah.
kappas that need fixing or that you don't know where to go with, or like we're gonna
Yeah.
sit in this room, bring me your various records that you're struggling with, and let's get them over the line.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Kappa clinics, nice. I like that. Yeah, it's good.
I think that pretty much covers sort of like how we
Yeah.
bring empathy into some of those day-to-day pieces as quality professionals. And then of course, if you become a people leader, like if you end up having direct reports, then those conversations are a little bit different as well. And but I encourage everybody to always try and see things from the other person's perspective, and that's not going to lead you astray.
Yeah. Words to live by. Absolutely, words to live by. Well, I hope you, as a listener, as the watcher, whichever media that you put, you know, listen to us on. This has been really informative. If you have any ideas about things that you'd like for Susie and I to have a chat about, and maybe any concepts that you're struggling with, it can be your own personal quality coffee break quality clinic. Bit of a mouthful,
There
but
we go.
Bit of a mouthful. But yeah, do get in touch. Either leave a comment or send us a email at qualitycoffeebreak@gmail.com. Hopefully I've got that right. Until next time, quality nerds, don't panic. Read the SOP.